Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the biggest obstacles to your success aren't outside of you, they're the habits you refuse to stop? Every day, you're unknowingly sabotaging your own potential, chasing approval, fearing failure, overcommitting, absorbing negativity, and procrastinating on your growth. The shocking truth is, these 5 silent killers are keeping you from the life you dream of. But the moment you recognize them and eliminate them, everything changes, your focus sharpens, your energy multiplies, and doors you never thought possible begin to open. Stay with me, because I'm about to show you exactly what to stop doing today to finally start winning tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, success is not something that just happens to people. It is the result of deliberate choices, consistent actions, and, just as importantly, the elimination of behaviors that quietly sabotage our progress. If you want to succeed, you must first recognize what's holding you back. There are 5 things you need to stop doing immediately. Not someday, not next week, but now. These are the behaviors that erode your potential, steal your focus, and drain your energy. The first thing to stop is seeking constant approval. Many of us spend more time trying to make others comfortable than we do making ourselves effective. We post updates, craft messages, or shape our opinions around what we think others want to see. But the truth is, approval is fleeting. Success does not come from the validation of others. It comes from understanding your why, committing to it, and taking action regardless of whether anyone applauds or criticizes. If you spend your energy chasing approval, you'll never have any left to chase your goals. The second thing to stop is fearing failure. Fear is not just an emotion. It's a strategy that convinces us to stay small, to stay safe, and to stay invisible. The paradox is that the people who succeed are the ones who fail the most. They experiment, they take risks, they make mistakes, and they learn. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a prerequisite for it. Each failure is a lesson disguised as pain, and every lesson brings you closer to mastery. If you let fear dictate your actions, you'll never move beyond your current limitations. The third thing to stop is overcommitting yourself. Many of us believe that being busy equates to being productive, but that's a lie. The reality is that focus is far more valuable than quantity. When you spread yourself too thin, you dilute your efforts and compromise your results. Success comes to those who prioritize the right actions, not the most actions. Learn to say no, not out of selfishness, but out of respect for your time, your energy, and your goals. The discipline of selective focus is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who merely stay busy. The fourth thing to stop is surrounding yourself with negativity. The people you spend the most time with have a profound influence on your mindset, your confidence, and your trajectory. If you are constantly around people who complain, doubt, or belittle ambition, you absorb that energy whether you realize it or not. Success demands that you be around those who challenge you, inspire you, and push you toward growth. Your environment shapes your actions, and your actions shape your destiny. The fifth thing to stop is procrastinating on your own development. We live in a world that rewards action, learning, and adaptation. Every day you delay improving your skills, expanding your knowledge, or refining your mindset, you fall further behind. The people who win in life are not always the most talented. They are the ones who show up consistently, who commit to growth, and who take responsibility for becoming the person capable of achieving their vision. Waiting for the perfect time is a trap. The perfect time is now. When you stop doing these 5 things, something remarkable happens. You regain your energy, your focus sharpens, and your decisions become aligned with your purpose. Success begins not as an external achievement, but as an internal shift, a commitment to stop being your own obstacle and start being your own catalyst. And when that happens, the world no longer dictates your potential, you do. Every choice you make, every habit you cultivate, and every boundary you enforce becomes a stepping stone toward the life you are capable of creating. When you stop doing these 5 things, it's not just about removing barriers. It's about creating space for clarity, momentum, and purpose. Imagine what it would feel like to wake up each morning with intention rather than obligation, with direction rather than confusion, with energy rather than exhaustion. That is the power of removing the things that drain you. It is a simple concept, yet one that many overlook because the habits we cling to are often invisible. They're embedded in our daily routines, our conversations, and our thinking patterns. The subtle sabotage of approval, seeking, fear, overcommitment, negativity, and procrastination quietly erodes ambition, one small decision at a time. Let's examine approval, seeking a bit deeper. When we constantly look to others to validate our choices, we hand over our agency. We give our power away to external forces. And the paradox is that those external forces, friends, colleagues, social media, even strangers, have no stake in our success. They may cheer us on or they may criticize us, but neither outcome matters as much as we think. What matters is that you know your why. Your why is the compass that guides you through decisions, challenges, and distractions. When your why is clear, external approval becomes noise. You begin to act not to satisfy others, but to fulfill your own purpose. That's when confidence becomes natural, and that's when progress accelerates. Fear of failure is another subtle, yet powerful, thief of potential. It masquerades as caution, as prudence, or as realism, but at its core, fear is stagnation. It convinces us that safety is synonymous with success, when in reality, the opposite is true. Growth occurs outside the comfort zone, and success demands movement into the unknown. Every risk you take, every decision that challenges your limits, is a vote for possibility over paralysis. And here is the critical insight. Failing is not evidence that you cannot succeed. It is proof that you are trying. Failure becomes a mentor, not an enemy, and each lesson it offers compounds, shaping resilience, insight, and adaptability. The people who succeed aren't those who avoid mistakes. They are those who extract wisdom from every misstep and move forward with intention. Overcommitment, the third barrier, is an equally insidious trap. We glorify busyness in our culture, but busyness does not equal progress. It's easy to mistake activity for impact. True success comes from the disciplined selection of priorities, from focusing on the tasks and actions that move the needle, and ruthlessly eliminating what doesn't. Saying no is not a rejection of opportunity. It's a declaration that you value your mission more than distraction. It's a commitment to investing your limited energy in the areas that will produce the highest returns. And when you do that consistently, you find yourself moving faster, making better decisions, and achieving results that feel disproportionate to the effort expended. Negativity, the fourth obstacle, often hides in plain sight. It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's subtle passive comments, habitual complaints, or a persistent attitude of doubt. The people and environments we immerse ourselves in influence our thoughts, which in turn shape our behaviors. If you spend your life surrounded by pessimism, your mindset begins to internalize it. But if you intentionally choose to surround yourself with encouragement, curiosity, and accountability, your perspective shifts. Your challenges become opportunities, your setbacks become lessons, and your motivation becomes intrinsic rather than borrowed. The energy you cultivate in your environment directly affects your capacity to perform and innovate. Finally, procrastination on personal development is a silent killer of potential. Every skill you delay mastering, every book you put off reading, every habit you postpone forming, compounds over time into lost opportunities. The world moves quickly, and the only way to stay ahead is to continually evolve. Action, learning, and growth are not optional. They are the currency of progress. Waiting for the perfect conditions to act is a trap. There are never perfect conditions. Opportunity favors the prepared, the intentional, and the disciplined. By taking responsibility for your development today, you lay the foundation for success tomorrow. When you consciously stop these 5 behaviors, life begins to feel lighter, decisions become clearer, and actions become more aligned with purpose. You reclaim energy, sharpen focus, and cultivate resilience. You begin to realize that success is not about luck or external circumstances. It is about clarity, courage, and consistent action. It is about removing the obstacles that silently erode potential and choosing every day to step into your capacity. The moment you stop being your own barrier, everything shifts. You start to move with momentum, guided by purpose, energized by focus, and fueled by the understanding that your life is yours to shape. Every choice, every habit, and every boundary you establish becomes a deliberate act of self-empowerment, moving you closer to the success you've always imagined. And when you begin to operate from this space free from the weight of approval, seeking, fear, overcommitment, negativity, and procrastination, you start to notice something extraordinary. Life begins to respond differently. Opportunities that once seemed distant or unattainable start to emerge. Challenges that used to feel overwhelming become manageable. Your clarity of purpose acts like a magnet, attracting the people, resources, and circumstances that align with your vision. The very act of removing these 5 destructive behaviors does more than clear your path. It fundamentally changes the way you experience the world. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem unstoppable. What sets them apart is not some innate talent or luck. It is their ability to act with intention, to remove distractions, to confront fear, and to relentlessly invest in themselves. They are not perfect, they fail, they stumble, and they face setbacks just like everyone else. The difference is that they do not allow failure to define them. They do not allow other people's opinions to dictate their actions. They do not dilute their energy with meaningless obligations or toxic environments. And they certainly do not procrastinate on becoming the person capable of achieving greatness. The power of focus cannot be overstated. When you eliminate overcommitment and negativity, your mind becomes a tool rather than a battlefield. Focus allows you to see patterns that others miss, to spot opportunities that remain hidden, and to execute with precision. It allows you to channel your energy into meaningful action, rather than scattering it across countless small tasks that lead nowhere. Every moment you invest in what truly matters compounds over time, producing exponential results. This is not a theory, it is a principle observed in every field of human achievement. People who master the art of focus do not work harder. They work smarter, they act deliberately, and they achieve consistently. Courage is equally essential. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to act despite it. When you stop fearing failure, you open yourself up to experimentation, to risk, and to the unknown. You begin to see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as invitations to grow. Each risk you take, each challenge you face, strengthens your capacity to handle more. Courage multiplies as you practice it. Every time you take action in spite of fear, the fear loses its grip and your confidence grows. This is why the most successful people appear fearless, not because they are devoid of fear, but because they refuse to let fear dictate their actions. Self-discipline is another cornerstone. By refusing to procrastinate on your own growth, you cultivate habits that build momentum and resilience. The small, consistent actions you take daily compound into extraordinary results over time. Learning a new skill, expanding your knowledge, refining your mindset, and nurturing your health. All these actions accumulate, shaping a version of yourself that is equipped to succeed at a level most people never reach. Success is less about grand gestures and more about consistent, purposeful effort. It is the steady accumulation of small wins, guided by clarity and sustained by discipline, that creates extraordinary outcomes. Equally important is the company you keep. Surround yourself with people who elevate, challenge, and inspire you. Environments influence behaviors and shape identities. If you are constantly around cynics, doubters, or those who drain your energy, their influence seeps into your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your results. Conversely, when you immerse yourself in positivity, ambition, and accountability, you are uplifted. Your mindset shifts from scarcity to abundance, from limitation to possibility, and from hesitation to action. Choosing your circle is not about ego. It is about creating an ecosystem that nurtures your growth and propels you toward your goals. Finally, understand that success is an inside-out journey. It begins with removing what does not serve you and then building what does. It begins with clarity, courage, and discipline, and then extends outward into every area of your life. The more intentional you become about eliminating behaviors that sabotage you, the more naturally aligned your actions become with your purpose. Your decisions, your habits, your relationships, they all begin to reflect the person you are becoming. And in this alignment, you find a power that is undeniable, the power to shape your future, to influence your world, and to achieve goals that once seemed impossible. Every step you take away from self-sabotage is a step toward mastery, momentum, and meaningful achievement. Every choice to stop chasing approval, to confront fear, to focus your energy, to cultivate positivity, and to invest in your development compounds into a life defined not by limitation, but by possibility. Success is no longer a distant dream. It becomes the natural outcome of deliberate choices, consistent actions, and the unwavering commitment to stop being your own obstacle. The journey transforms you, your environment transforms you, and the results you create become a reflection of the power you unleash when you refuse to settle for anything less than your potential. When you fully embrace the idea of removing the behaviors that hold you back, you begin to experience a shift that is both profound and liberating. It's no longer about surviving in your environment or reacting to circumstances. It's about intentionally creating the conditions for your success. Every decision becomes purposeful. Every action becomes a deliberate step toward growth. You start to realize that success is not something that happens to you. It is something you engineer, something you cultivate through the conscious choices you make every single day. Let's reflect on approval seeking once again. This habit is subtle, yet it quietly dictates countless decisions. It persuades you to hold back your ideas, to temper your ambition, and to measure your worth by how others respond. When you stop seeking validation, you reclaim your agency. Your focus shifts inward, toward what you can control and what truly matters. Suddenly, you are no longer trapped by other people's expectations, and your energy is free to pursue your own vision. The result is a confidence that is authentic, grounded, and unshakable, because it is built not on applause, but on clarity of purpose and alignment with your values. Fear of failure is equally transformative when confronted head-on. It is easy to underestimate the cost of avoidance. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you are postponing growth. But when you lean into fear, when you take action in spite of doubt, you are training yourself to thrive in uncertainty. Risk becomes a teacher, challenges become opportunities, and setbacks become lessons rather than deterrents. The people who succeed are not immune to fear. They simply refuse to be paralyzed by it. They understand that progress is born in the space where fear meets action, and they consistently choose to step forward, even when the path is unclear. Overcommitment, too, diminishes our potential in ways we often overlook. Being busy feels productive, but without clarity, it is wasted energy. When you start saying no to the tasks, obligations, and distractions that do not serve your purpose, you begin to create space for what truly matters. Focus becomes your superpower. By concentrating on fewer priorities, you amplify your impact. You work not harder, but smarter. You begin to notice patterns, opportunities, and connections that were previously invisible. This deliberate focus multiplies results and allows you to move through challenges with precision and efficiency. Negativity, whether external or internal, quietly erodes your drive. When you immerse yourself in critical, doubtful, or pessimistic energy, it seeps into your thoughts, shaping your mindset and influencing your actions. By consciously choosing positivity, by surrounding yourself with people and environments that elevate rather than diminish you, you create a foundation for sustainable growth. Your perspective shifts from limitation to possibility. Challenges no longer feel insurmountable, they become stepping stones. This mental environment of encouragement, curiosity, and accountability transforms your approach to life, allowing you to see solutions where others see problems, and opportunities where others see obstacles. Procrastination on self-development is perhaps the most subtle thief of all. Every day you delay learning, growing, and refining your skills. You fall behind in a world that moves relentlessly forward. The most successful people understand that mastery is a process, not an event. They take deliberate steps to improve daily, knowing that the small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary results over time. By committing to your own growth, you position yourself ahead of those who wait for the right moment. You are no longer reactive, you are proactive, continuously shaping the person you need to become to achieve the life you envision. And here is the critical insight: the act of removing these behaviors is itself a form of empowerment. Each time you stop chasing approval, confronting fear, overcommitting, tolerating negativity, and postponing growth, you reclaim authority over your life. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start being the architect of your future. Every boundary you set, every decision you make, every habit you cultivate becomes a building block for momentum. You begin to operate from a place of intention rather than reaction, from a mindset of abundance rather than limitation, and from a perspective of opportunity rather than fear. When this shift occurs, your life begins to reflect the power of your choices. Success is no longer distant or abstract. It becomes the natural outcome of clarity, focus, courage, and deliberate action. You move through challenges with resilience, seize opportunities with confidence, and create a trajectory that is aligned with your purpose. The energy you invest in yourself multiplies, your influence grows, and your capacity to achieve what once seemed impossible expands dramatically. This is the transformative power of stopping the behaviors that hold you back. It frees you to pursue the life you are capable of creating with intentionality, courage, and unwavering focus.